Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this explosive episode where we dive deep into one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history. The infamous walk-off of music legend Chaka Khan from the Jennifer Hudson Show following a heated argument that left audiences gasping and social media ablaze. Picture this. It's a bright, sunny afternoon in the heart of Los Angeles, the studio lights gleaming like diamonds on a crown, and the crowd buzzing with anticipation as Jennifer Hudson, the powerhouse vocalist turned talk show host, prepares to welcome the undisputed queen of funk herself. Chaka Khan, at 72 years young, struts onto the stage in a vibrant ensemble of flowing silks and bold jewelry that screams unapologetic confidence. Her signature afro framing a face etched with decades of triumphs and trials. The applause is thunderous, a wave of adoration crashing over her as she settles into the plush interview chair, exchanging warm hugs and laughter with Jennifer, who has long idolized her as a beacon of soulful authenticity. What starts as a celebration of Chaka's illustrious career, spanning hits like I'm Every Woman and Ain't Nobody, her battles with addiction, her triumphant sobriety, and her recent ventures into wellness and activism, quickly spirals into something far more raw and revealing. Jennifer, ever the empathetic interviewer, begins by gushing over Chaka's influence on her own journey, from her American Idol days to her Oscar-winning role in Dreamgirls, crediting Chaka's raw emotion in songs like Through the Fire as the spark that ignited her vocal fire. Chaka smiles graciously, her eyes twinkling with that knowing wisdom only legends possess. But there's a subtle tension in the air, like the calm before a storm, as Jennifer probes deeper into Chaka's regrets and what-ifs. As the studio lights cast their warm glow on the two powerhouses seated across from each other, the air crackles with the unspoken weight of expectations. Jennifer Hudson's eyes wide with a mix of admiration and curiosity, while Chaka Khan's posture straightens like a warrior donning armor. The argument ignites not from malice but from the friction of truths too long buried under layers of politeness. Jennifer, drawing from her own hard-won path through grief and reinvention after the tragic loss of her family, ventures into territory that's equal parts personal and professional. Chaka, you've been my North Star, Jennifer confesses, her voice thick with emotion. But I've always wondered, why didn't we see more of you lifting up voices like mine in the 90s, when R&B was exploding? Was it the industry, or? She trails off, perhaps realizing too late the implication. But Chaka, ever the truth-teller, doesn't let it slide. Her laugh booms out, rich and resonant, but laced with an edge sharper than a snare drum crack. Lifting up? Child, I was fighting to lift myself up. You think I had time to play fairy godmother when labels were stealing my masters and promoters were shortchanging my shows? The audience murmurs, a ripple of empathy mixed with surprise, as Chaka's hands gesture animatedly, painting vivid pictures of her battles. The sexism that dismissed her as difficult for demanding fair pay, the racism that pitted black women against each other in award shows, and the personal demons of substance abuse that nearly derailed her empire. Jennifer, caught off guard, stammers a clarification. I didn't mean it like that. I just mean your voice could have changed so many trajectories. But her words only fan the flames. The tension in the studio reaches a boiling point, the air thick with the scent of hairspray and unresolved history, as Chaka Khan's legendary temper, famed from tales of studio blow-ups and award show shade, begins to simmer over, her fingers drumming on the armrest like a prelude to percussion. Jennifer Hudson, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, attempts to de-escalate by pivoting to shared ground, suggesting they duet a snippet of I'm Every Woman, right there on the spot, a nod to the song's empowering anthem that has united divas across decades. The crowd cheers tentatively, hungry for harmony, but Chaka's response is a masterclass in boundary setting. Every woman? Damn right. But not every woman's gotta harmonize on command. She rises slightly from her seat, her presence expanding to fill the stage, and launches into a fierce defense of her autonomy, detailing the countless times she's been expected to perform gratitude or collaboration for the cameras, from forced features on albums to obligatory cameos in biopics that whitewashed her story. I ain't a prop for your glow-up narrative, Jennifer, she declares, her voice dropping to a husky timbre that silences the room. I've been the blueprint, not the backup singer. Jennifer, visibly stung, counters with her own fire, recounting how Chaka's refusal to collaborate in the early 2000s left a void in R&B's evolution, citing specific tracks where a Khan verse could have elevated them to classics. "We could have been a dynasty," Jennifer exclaims, her hands clasped in plea, but Chaka shakes her head, a wry smile twisting her lips. "Dynasty? That's what they sell on TV. Real queens build solo empires, then invite the court if they choose." With the studio clock ticking mercilessly toward the segment's end, the heated exchange between Chaka Khan and Jennifer Hudson intensifies into a whirlwind of emotion, Jennifer's animated gestures contrasting Chaka's steely calm, as if the host is conducting an orchestra of frustration while the guest anchors the storm with unmovable roots. Desperate to reclaim the narrative, Jennifer pulls out an ace. A surprise video tribute from industry heavyweights, Mary J. Blige praising Chaka's grit, Ariana Grande crediting her vocal runs, even a clip from Oprah reflecting on Chaka's cultural impact, hoping to douse the flames with validation. The montage plays on the massive screens, eliciting ahs from the crowd. But when it concludes, Chaka's applause is polite, almost perfunctory, her retort slicing through the sentiment like a baseline cutting fog. Tributes are cute, but they don't pay the therapy bills for the shade thrown behind closed doors. She quips, delving into a scathing takedown of performative allyship, how icons like herself are lionized in clips but ghosted in boardrooms where deals are made. Jennifer, her composure fraying at the edges, pushes back with a story from her tour days, claiming she name-dropped Chaka in every interview to honor her, only to be met with eye rolls from promoters who dismissed the queen as yesterday's news. Yesterday? I'm eternal. Baby, check the playlists. Chaka fires, her laugh a weaponized melody that draws chuckles from the front row. The banter teeters on the edge of reconciliation, with Jennifer proposing an impromptu jam session, but Chaka demurs, instead schooling the room on the art of funk. It's not about blending voices. It's about clashing them till they spark something new. The crescendo of the confrontation builds like a slow-burn ballad turning up tempo, Chaka Khan's voice rising in indignation as she recounts a pivotal slight from a decade ago. A cancelled collaboration invite to Jennifer's variety special, which Chaka claims was extended then retracted due to scheduling conflicts that smelled of cold feet. Jennifer's eyes widen in genuine shock, her hands flying to her chest as she denies any knowledge, blaming overzealous managers and vowing to make it right with a future joint performance. But Chaka, scenting evasion, leans in closer, her perfume, a heady mix of jasmine and attitude, wafting across the divide. "Make it right? Words are cheap, actions echo," she proclaims, weaving a tapestry of betrayals from her career. The time a young label exec, mentored under her wing, poached her producers. The award show where her name was omitted from a tribute medley. The endless cycle of inspired by without royalties or respect. The audience, now a living entity of held breaths and subtle headshakes, feels the weight of these revelations, many nodding in recognition of the unsung labors that fuel the machine. Jennifer, fighting back tears, shares her side. The pressure of being the new face post-Aretha, how every step forward feels like tiptoeing on eggshells around giants like Chaka, fearing the label of copycat. "I built on your shoulders, not to eclipse you, to stand beside," she pleads, her voice cracking with the authenticity that won her an EGOT. For a fleeting moment, tenderness flickers. Chaka reaches across, squeezing Jennifer's hand, murmuring, "We both queens, but crowns get heavy," and the crowd exhales, sensing détente. Yet, the spark reignites when Jennifer floats the idea of a joint foundation for emerging artists, a philanthropic olive branch. Chaka scoffs, "Foundations? I've been the bedrock. Your bricks on my base don't make us co-founders."